Hello.
Hey everyone, how's it going? We'll be connecting to Facebook in a second. Cross-posting this. Service. Go live. Okay.
Jesse, can you hear us?
You're unmuted, so yes, I can hear you. So what I'm going to do is, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to, in our chat, which we'll post up here, I'm going to attach the drive that if for some reason you can't read what's going on my screen share when it's time, you can click on that. That's the service that we're going to run. Weird seeing myself in delay on Zoom, but we're there. That's good. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. This is a, you guys can hear me okay? Just nod. Great.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. So this is a monthly service that we do here at the Jacksonville Jewish Center. And I just wanted to give a little background on why we do it typically, and then why we're doing it now. So first off, this is a new experience, as you might imagine, doing this all virtual. This is not something that I've done Zoom for a couple years now, never done something like this. So I think at the very least, it's a place of vulnerability that being live, being out there in the internet for everyone to watch, I think is again new for me. And thank you all for adding your faces. Being in a healing service, right? Everyone's seeing your faces too, those of us who joined us on Zoom. So I think that's an important space for you guys to see that there are others in our larger virtual community who are searching for something. And so I think that's what we need. A lot of us are cooped up inside for different reasons. And so this is a space where we can have each other. So thanks for joining us. Before I screen share, so the other thing is that we normally meet, when I schedule these meetings, I schedule them around holidays. And that's, the first reason is that holidays can be sad and can be triggers and can be spaces where there's a lot of joy, but there's also a lot of grief and a lot of pain. And that can be caused by missing a loved one that's no longer with you. Maybe it's missing a loved one that you aren't getting along with, and there's healing that's needed there. It might be because you yourself are going through health issues and you aren't able to celebrate the same way. Maybe it's because you're a caretaker for someone, and again, your whole life is just kind of these moments that are meant to be filled with joy don't have that same feeling. And so we often have come together over Yom Kippur, over other holidays, Thanksgiving. We did one just a few weeks ago around Purim, which is a festival about joy, about coming together, being silly. And sometimes people who are going through things can't feel that. All right, so we can all still hear me? Good. Got a notification that I was signed out, so that was not good. So what I want to do is, as we go in, we're going to sing some melodies that you may or may not know. These are melodies that we've incorporated into our service over the last couple of years. Some readings as well. They're in English, they're in Hebrew, and so I hope they speak to you. And again, in the comments, the chat on Zoom, you can see the file itself. if you are interested in any of the stuff we're doing today. I will also say that I'm hoping that this is something that we embrace virtually, and people will gravitate towards the service however often we need it. I'm hoping this is something we do on a weekly basis. Maybe it's a space to bring in new music, new thoughts, new reflections. So we'll begin. I'm going to screen share in a second. Get here the right thing. And I have a big picture of Bruce as my screen share. And we are going to begin with you can still see me, but you'll also see the lyrics to this melody. And this is a song we introduced a few weeks ago, right before our February healing service. And this is a song called We Are Loved. And sometimes it's hard to think of that, given the time that we are in. But I think it's important. That's why we come together. So feel free. You're all on mute, but I trust that you are singing along, both on Facebook and on Zoom. We are embraced by arms that find us, even when we are hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us, even when we are too proud for soothing. We are counseled by voices that guide us, even when we are too embittered to hear. We are loved, loved, loved by an ending love, an unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love, an unending love. We are supported by hands that uplift us, even in the midst of a fall. We are urged by eyes that meet us, even when we are too weak for meeting. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love, an unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love, an unending love. Embrace, touch, soothe, and counsel. Ours are the arms, the fingers, the voices. Ours are the hands, the eyes, the smiles. We are loved by an unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love, an unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love, an unending love. That sound okay? Okay, good. So I also wanted to share a text as well that I took as the cover of our healing service a few years ago. This is from Psalm 59, and I was actually on an interfaith Facebook chain explaining, what Psalms, what are the prayers that we're citing during this time, this crazy time, and the Psalms were the place that everyone seemed to go during times of struggle, and so Psalm 59 was one that stood up for me as I learned this melody a few years ago by Rabbi Josh Rosarski, who wrote a beautiful melody that we'll sing in a moment. But it asks that God is our haven, a refuge in time of trouble. And there are a lot of lines that as I reread, even the service we've done for a few years, when I reread these lines in our current space, refuge has a new place, has a new space for me in terms of what that meant. I might have focused on the Uzi Elacha Azamera, that we look for God as our strength. But today, maybe next week it'll be different. But today I'm thinking about God as a refuge in times of trouble when some of us are cooped up, many of us are cooped up inside, and we're filled with fear and boredom, lots of things going on, that we should look for God as our refuge. And so we'll sing Ba'ani Ashir Uzecha. Ba'ani Ashir Uzecha Be'aranin Baboker Chastecha Ki Hayita Miskabi Omanos Liom Sarli Ba'ani Ashir Uzecha Be'aranin Baboker Chastecha Ki Hayita Miskabi Umanos Liom Sarli Uzi Eilecha Azamera Uzi Eilecha Azamera Uzi Eilecha Azamera Uzi Eilecha Azamera Ba'ani Ashir Uzecha Be'aranin Baboker Chastecha Ki Hayita Miskali Umanos Liom Sarli Ba'ani Ashir Uzecha Be'aranin Baboker Chastecha Ki Hayita Miskali Umanos Liom Sarli. So we finally jump into our actual service, as we often before the Amidah, the prayer. A lot of people, when we think of what are the big prayers in Judaism, the first one they sing is the Shema. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And we'll actually sing that later on in our service. But for me, the most personal space is the Amidah, and it's a space, while personal, the full Amidah section is something we do as a minyan, as a quorum of 10. And so, given our space, being on Zoom, being virtual, but not here in together in person, there are things that we are limited to do. We cannot do a full Amidah. And so we have only the personal space left. We can't do that stuff we do as a community. And so that personal space becomes even more important to add in our own prayers. There's so much text to the Amidah that we often think that it's a rigid, this is what you have to do. And those words are meant to inspire us. The questions, the requests that we ask of God are meant to be our guide. But really it's a personal prayer as well. And so the beginning of the Amidah, we sing 6 words, Adonai Svatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha, that God should open our lips, that we should praise God's name. So this is a melody we picked up a few years ago by Josh Goldberg. Adonai Sifatai Tifta Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha Adonai, open up my lips, that that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, sifatai, tifta, ufi, yagi, tehilatecha. So we say these words, open my lips so that I might speak your praise. And normally our space is a circle filled with anywhere from a half dozen to 20-something people, an intimate space. And I hope that even though we're virtual, we can also feel the love of those following who might follow afterwards and get something out of this service. But also creating the space of the faces that I see on my screen, that hine ma tov u'ma na'im shevet achim gam yachad, that how wonderful and pleasant it is to be here virtually together with all of you. So we'll sing hine ma tov. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im shevet achim gam yachad. So it says kavanah, which means intention. And so I wanted to just share a little on the vulnerability on my side again, that I know people often will study something in memory of a loved one. And so this healing service takes place on the yurtzeit, the anniversary of the passing of my father's mother, my grandmother, Rose Holzer. And so I was thinking about her a lot the last couple of days, especially not being able to be there to say Kaddish, to recite Mourner's Kaddish, both my father and, of course, to recite certain prayers in her memory. But she would be 117 today, so she lived to almost 102, lived a beautiful, long life. And I'm also thinking about the things that she saw, all the craziness, the epidemics, the Great Depression, she never had a license because she lived in New York City. She didn't have a license also because when she would have gotten one, they didn't have cars in existence. And she couldn't vote for, when she was the age of women being able to vote these days. And so all these things about the life that she led, I'm thinking about her today. So we're gonna go on to intention, and we'll see who's texting me. Chat. PDF. I love this one. Cannot believe. Okay. Yes, of course. So we are on the Kavanah, and we're going to recite this one together to create our space this afternoon. We ask you, sacred presence, to suffuse our spirits, to open our hearts and minds to the source of all, so that our hearts may heal, our minds may mend, and our souls may be serene. May we, on your journey towards wholeness, be partners with you, source of blessings, and in helping each other, heal creation by discovering you in every moment. We have so many things to be thankful for. And so our formula in Judaism is before we start asking, we have to thank God for all the things we do have. So first we're gonna have, this is a prayer, a daily prayer we recite each and every morning upon waking up, just that the basic things of the human body function. And without them, we wouldn't be able to live our lives. And we think of those in our midst who are dealing with this awful virus, who've been diagnosed and are trying to recover, those who are suffering, not only from this viruses, but from other ailments. So we'll recite gratitude for the gift of the body. Praised are you who with wisdom fashioned the human body, creating openings, arteries, glands, and organs, marvelous in structure, intricate in design. Should but one of them, by being blocked or opened, fail to function, it would be impossible to exist. Praised are you, healer of all flesh, who sustains our bodies in wondrous ways. Baruch atah Adonai, rofeh chol basar umafli la'asot. And when we're thinking about healing, I also found liturgy written by the CCAR, the rabbinic movement of the Reform Judaism. And so they came out with a, you can find it online. Hopefully no one gets liturgy for concerns regarding coronavirus, some beautiful meditations. And so I wanted to do one for healing. So we'll be at the, you guys can read with me if it's not too small. A prayer for those who help, and then we'll do some healing from coronavirus. Source of healing, cast the light of health and well-being on those who have been exposed to coronavirus, those who have contracted the disease, and those, God forbid, who contract the disease in the future. Bless them, protect them, and bring them speedily to full recovery. Bless all who are ill with healing of body, healing of soul, and healing of spirit. Baruch atah Adonai, makor hachamim, chayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of life. So, we have the gift of body, and we also have the gift of soul. So maybe we'll hear any volunteers from the voices, the faces I can see to read our next paragraph. I can unmute you if you want. Any takers?
He said me.
Okay, great.
Oh God, oh God, you are a consolation to your creatures, for in moments of forgetting, we but call to mind your care and we are comforted. When we hope no more, a pattern in the sand reminds us of your love. Your dawns give us confidence and sleep as a friend. Our sorrows dissipate in the presence of an infant's smile, and old men's words revive our will to wish. Your hints are everywhere, your signals in the most remote of places. You are here. We fail words to say, Ma Tov, how good our breath, our rushing energies, our silences of love.
Thank you, Edith. I mean, think about all those images, and sometimes we have to hold on to those images. Maybe we're, a synagogue goer, and we see all those people. We see the old men who schmooze with a kiddush, or we can see that family member, that infant smile. And so we hold on to those. We hope and pray that all our technologies continue to work so that we can FaceTime as much as possible, and we can interact and see each other's faces and have those images that define our blessings. because we are a visual, we are a auditory people, and so to be in our presence virtually is so important. So we sing at the bottom of the page, Elohai Neshama. Elohai Neshama Shenatata Bi Tehorai. 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 In a few minutes, I'm going to go off screen share for when we have our moment of reflection. So just a shout out to our Facebook people who are watching that if you have a name when we get to our section for the Mishaberach, for those who are ill, if you are comfortable adding in that name, we can add those into the comments on Facebook and I'll check those. And if you aren't, we'll also have that space to share some silent meditation as well. So we have gratitude for our soul, for our body, and then everyday miracles that sustain us, that get us through the day. Being able to wake up is definitely a miracle, but also those other things, those little interactions that we are experiencing maybe for the first time over these last few days for some of us and the last couple of weeks for others. So someone on Zoom want to unmute themselves and take a chance at Modim Anachnu Lach. Anyone? Oh, great. There you go. Laura, you're unmuted. Or I thought you would.
Am I unmuted now?
Yeah, you're good. Go for it.
Okay. Modim Anachnu Lach. We acknowledge that you, Adonai, are our God and have been God of our ancestors throughout all time. You are the rock of our lives, our shield and our protector. We thank you for our lives that are in your hands, for our souls that are in your charge, for your miracles that daily attend us, and for your wonders and gifts that sustain us, evening, morning, and afternoon. You are good, your mercy is everlasting, you are compassionate, your kindness is never ending. We place our hope in you, source of blessing, Adonai, our God. You are the essence of goodness. It is good to thank you.
Thank you. We see at the bottom of the page the part of the bedtime Shema, B'Shem Hashem. It's a beautiful melody that we'll sing first with the words and then we'll Yedidai afterwards. And it pictures, again, it makes sense for bedtime, that we have this image of angels on all sides of us. We have Mimini on my right side. We have Mikael, who is like God, the angel Michael. Umismoli on my left side, Gavriel, the angel Gabriel. Gavriel, my strength, oh God. Umilfanai, before me, my light, Uriel. Umeachorai, Raphael. And behind me, Raphael, God is as healer. And Al Roshi, upon my head, Shechinat El, the presence of God. And so I love this melody and this text in particular because it paints a beautiful image of whatever you think of as angels in our lives, whether it be they angels that are people, or angels, the heavenly helpers of God. So for some of us, when we sing this song, we think of those angels who have our back up on high. But for me, I think of each of these as the kinds of people that protect us and the kinds of people that we can be for others. That I hope not only is there someone for me to be that strength, to be that light, to be that healing source for me, but then maybe I also, too, don't realize how much I am that source of healing, of strength, of light for others as well. And so we'll sing. B'Shem Hashem Elohei Yisrael Mimini Michael U'mismoli Gabriel U'milfanai Uriel Me'achorai Raphael Ve'al Roshi Shechinatel B'Shem Hashem Elohei Yisrael Mimini Michael U'mismoli Gabriel U'milfanai Uriel U'me'achorai Raphael Ve'al Roshi Shechinatel Yainai 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 So what's interesting about this next paragraph, taken from the Psalms, is that recently, as we often do in certain circles, I won't label in this space, but there are some circles that don't always start on time. And so I don't know if you've ever been a part of a space that doesn't like to start on time. But sometimes we've been pressed for time in our healing service, and so sometimes I feel rushed to give up something. And so for the last few weeks, I haven't been singing this melody for Yehi Shalom B'Chelech Shalva Ve'Armonotayich. May there be peace within your walls, serenity within your palaces. And I think it takes on new meaning, given that many of us are inside what we thought were palaces and sometimes feel like dungeons, and that we feel trapped. And so be it peace within our walls, meaning that we are better listeners to our spouses, our kids, anyone in our little cluster, that we create more peace that way. But that also we pray for health and serenity and guidance through this difficult time that we'll get through, but nothing's easy. No one has it figured out. It's a new world. So we sing Yehi Shalom B'Chelech. Yehi Shalom B'Chelech Shalva Ve'Armonotayich. Yehi Shalom B'Chelech Shalva Ve'Armonotayich. Yehi Shalom B'Chelech Shalva Ve'Armonotayich. Yehi shalom v'chelech shalva v'armenotai. 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 So in a moment, I'm going to take us off screen share. I'm going to mute myself, so we'll all be in a space of silence. And for us who are at home on Zoom or on Facebook, to close our eyes and to think of those loved ones. And maybe that net is much longer, much wider than we could ever imagine. Our loved ones, not only who grieve, who don't have a space to grieve. There's no Shiva, there's nothing like that can take place during this time. So there are those who are in pain over the loss of a loved one. We have people who are in pain, who are going through issues, chronic issues, end of life issues. We are thinking about, again, new people who are cooped up inside, who are social butterflies but can't get out. And we have people who are cooped up inside who aren't social butterflies, who they are already so isolated, and maybe they aren't able to connect virtually in the same way. And so all those thoughts get jumbled in our brains and in our hearts, that we take a few moments to just be and to think about all of those people who are in need. And we'll come back in a few moments with the singing of the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, Israel, Adonai, our God, is one. So at this time, normally we have personal prayers for healing. And so be that we're going to, this is already very public for our healing service. So I will, for right now, maybe next week we'll change, but for now we'll refrain from sharing personal reflections, but know that we are here for each other. And maybe next week we'll we'll write reflections if those are comfortable on our chat and within Zoom, because the chat does not get archived in the same way. But just as I was thinking of Rose Holzer on the list of yurt sites, we also have a long growing list of those in our midst who are in need of healing. And so I would be remiss to not include those from the center who are on our Mishaberach list, a list of healing. So we have in Hebrew, Meir Reuben ben Moshe Aharon, Adina Shoshana bat Yosefa, Yisrael ben Blima, Shlomo Michael ben Bracha, Menashe ben Penina, Shenel bat Batya, Abram ben Esther, Sarah Simcha bat Chana, Michael ben Yeta, Yitorachel bat Siralea, Yitzhak ben Fega, Sharon bat Esther, Baruch ben Yehudit, Leah bat Miriam, Leah Abigail bat Neshama, Sadiq ben Avram, Shmuel Reuven ben Batya, Moshe ben Rachel, Naomi bat Sarah, Shoshana Rivka bat Michal Sarah, Devorah bat Sarah Cohen Shur, Fega Leah bat Batsheba, Penina bat Rivka, Devorah Miriam bat Sarah, Shalom ben Leah, Rivka bat Leah, Shoshana bat Rivka, Chaim ben Rivka, Elianessa bat Esther Yosefa, Moshe ben Mina, Yitzhak ben Fega, Yosef ben Mindel. And in English, Jennifer Abadi, Jane Adlin, Vera Benjamin, Stephen Cantor, Alan Shepnick, Cynthia Disher, Eric Held, Marshall Hodds, Aaron Hoden, Gloria Jones, Joanne Kagan, Bill Kite, Debbie King, Susie Kornbluth, Naomi Lazar, Sherry Lindsay, Teresa Martin, Vitus Matzis, Dina Parkman, Stephen Paul, Buddy Pollock, Skip Ram, Joseph Ripnick, Harry Rittenberg, Eric Rosemond, Arthur Rosenblum, Larry Rosenblum, Joshua Rubin, Mira Shamash, Loretta Shapiro, Alita Spector, Charles Sull, Jennifer Van Diver, Devorah Wersansky, Barbara Uden, Mara Uden, our wounded soldiers and veterans, those injured in attacks of terror in Israel and around the world, as well as victims of gun violence here in the US, and of course all those suffering from coronavirus. And as we think of them, we double down on our Mishaberach. I'll go back to our screen share as we get back to here. And we return to our Mishaberach blessing. We'll sing a few melodies. We can't have enough Mishaberachs in shul, so why not virtual also? So we have our Debbie Freeman Mishaberach that we sing each and every Shabbat that we'll start with. Mishaberach avoteinu Mekor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu Mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us Amen. For refuah shlema, a speedy recovery. I also want to return for a moment to our CCAR guide, our prayers, as we're also thinking of all those healthcare professionals the people who are on the front lines. We all get to be home, hopefully with loved ones and in connection. But there are those who are on the front lines in the healthcare world who we not only pray that they can take care of those who are in need to make sure, and when it comes to the scientists for finding a vaccine, to those making sure that everyone has proper care, but that they themselves are able to take care of themselves, and that they themselves will not contract any illness as well. And so we'll read a prayer for those who help from the CCAR booklet. May the one who blessed and led our forebears give countenance unto those who provide help for the ill and troubled among us. May they be filled with fortitude and courage, endowed with sympathy and compassion, as they give strength to those at their side. May they fight against despair and continue to find within themselves the will to reach out to those in need. And in their love of others, may they feel the blessing of community and the blessing of renewed faith. Amen. We'll go back to our booklet, and we have the prayer for caregivers. As we see if I can fit it all on. There we go. We have another volunteer from our group who would like to read responsively for our prayer for caregivers. All right, you're unmuted, Helen.
Okay. Show me how to offer hope. Open your hand with the colors of faith, that I might begin to fill in spaces to strengthen another's life.
Show me how to offer comfort. Point out your nesting place, feathered against adversities that wound those I love.
Show me the direction when I'm lost, searching to help but finding no paths. Show me tolerance when I am weary of helping, and a long, dreary day stretches toward a restless night. You place before us life and love. Show us endurance. You place before us healing and hope. Show us persistence. Reach deep within me eternal strength, and bring my strength to consciousness. Pull it around us. Let it radiate with your power. Let it guide our way. Amen.
So we have another prayer for healing, since this is a healing service. And it reflects on the 6 words. I'll go to one more page for a second. That Miriam, Moses' sister, was ill, and Miriam was stricken with scales. And so Moses cried out, Elna Rafana La. I'll use 5 words. Elna, God, please. Rafana, heal, please. La, her. And so it's not a coincidence that we repeat one word, na, meaning please. In the Bible, whenever we say anything more than one time, it's meant to be an assurance. We say it on the other side when we are supposed to follow God's commandments. It says, "Mot yumat," that you shall, not that you die, but you should surely die. And so I always think of this surely, that when we say na twice in 5 words, we're saying, please, that we make sure that God hears our plea. That maybe one time it's not heard, but God ain't missing hearing it a second time. And so we sing these words together, El Narafan Allah, and then each verse is meant to be responding, but you can, again, figure out however you feel comfortable. If you want to sing along to my parts, I'll do the repetition as well. El Narifana La Nu. El Narifana La Nu. Dear God of our ancestors, dear God of our ancestors, help us renew our faith, help us renew our faith. Grant us a perfect healing, grant us a perfect healing. Bring peace to all our days, bring peace to all our Elna, Rifanala, Rifanala, Elna, Rifanala, Rifanala. Restore our strength of body, restore our strength of body. Help clarify our minds, help clarify our minds. Refresh our tired spirits, refresh our tired spirits. Rejuvenate our lives, rejuvenate our light. Elna, Rifanala, Rifanala. Elna, Rifanala, Rifanala. Thank you for all these blessings. Thank you for all these blessings. Throughout our days and nights, throughout our days and nights, we celebrate the journey. We celebrate the journey. This precious gift of life. This precious gift of life. Elna, Rifanala, Rifanala, nu. Elna, Rifanala, Rifanala, nu. Elna, Rifanala, Rifanala, nu. So we'll end in a moment with the singing of Oseh Shalom, a prayer of wholeness. But I want to. It's a heavy time to have a healing service, and we're all in need of a lot of things. And I thank you all for joining virtually to create this space. It's you have to have a lot of trust and faith in others to show solidarity with one another who are going through needs of healing of their own. And so I appreciate us all being here together. But I wanted to bring a little levity to the moment. I was thinking of what to wear to my Zoom. Normally, when I Zoom, it's for Cantor's Assembly talks, and people joke that I'm always eating something in my office. So I, wanted to make sure I didn't have any food all over the place, and not really thinking about what I'm wearing. But knowing that this is being recorded and we'll share this, I was thinking of what to put on. And so my wife, for every Disney trip and Father's Day and birthday, she gets me a t-shirt, typically from Target. So I can still get things like this by mobile pickup. But this is a Toy Story t-shirt that says, "You've got a friend in me." And I thought that was a nice message to share. Like a lot of options, but I think that we are distanced physically, and it says social distancing, but I don't think that means social distancing. That's obviously physical, but that as many opportunities we have to connect face to face with people and to talk to people we haven't spoken with, or maybe people we don't always pick up the phone to touch base with. Maybe that's the time to pick up the phone and make that extra call to show you've got a friend in me. And my other hat, my Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp hat, which I was a little curious when they made the mascot, but it really describes our community, that it is a big little city, and that this world is a big little world too. And that has the same message of connecting those with those we love, and those on the fringes too. who are all in need of healing. And so we'll conclude with Oseh Shalom, which the main word here is shalom, meaning peace, but it also comes from the root shalem, meaning wholeness, and that we pray for wholeness in our world, in our own miniature lives that we live, the clusters that we continue to make connections with, but that we bring that wholeness of the world to us as much as possible in the days ahead, and that we find peace, peace and quiet, peace and serenity within our walls as well. Oseh Shalom Imroma, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom Imroma, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru Amen. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. May the one who brings peace through the universe bring peace and wholeness to us, to all the people of Israel, and all the people of the world in the days ahead. May you find healing, and you may find these spaces to not only have your own meditations, but maybe more importantly, to connect with others and to keep that love of Am Yisrael, the nation of Israel, and the Ha'olam, Oseh Shalom B'marav, that we should make peace on high, but also to this entire world. Thank you for being with us, and I hope we'll join again next week. Maybe this time we'll find out if this is the best time, but I know that we want to have more of these places to join together in song, in reflection, and in holiness. May you all find healing in the days ahead. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Haz.